Good morning. I thought I'd show you some of the planes I've made in the past. That's the first page, my anvil on the bottom, and that the top picture is out of a Garrett Hack book, I believe. Just flick through a few of these to show you. Skew mouth on the bottom left, Cupid bow dovetails up the top there. Something in construction. My workshop, making a 36-inch jointer on the right. Bits and pieces. The only brace I ever made, bottom left, and the top right, I copied a very early plane I found in Corby. One of the very first planes I ever made is the top right one. I believe that went to America. Get back, my dear. Cupid bow fronted mitre planes I made. Skew mouth, bottom right. Lots of little billies. These are little billies, it spells my name. I think in the top left hand picture there's 85. Sarah's penknife. Couple of gauges I made. That early plane I copied again, top right. These are lignum vitae down here. Interesting plane. This one at the back is original, and I made 3 copies of it. Here we are again. That's the original. Very difficult planes to make because the steel is dovetailed. You don't have to get that near. And both sides of the plane, the steel is flush with the boxwood. And also there was a bit of a tenon on the top of the front metal that went up into the front bun. Almost impossible in theory to achieve. It had to be dovetailed in position. You couldn't add the steel at a later date complete when the plane was made. These little ones here are copies of a Matheson thumb plane. I dearly love that shape. Some of my early planes. Oh, that's a copy of a Norris A11. An exact copy. I've had 1 or 2 pass through my hands and they were all slightly different, and I've taken drawings of them. Very fine mouth on this one. This one went to Australia. One of the first A11s I made, I believe. I made a few brass-sided ones. Norris would have always been in steel. Oil stone boxes. The one on the top left was absolutely massive. Doesn't appear so, but it was. I gave it to a friend of mine. This is the best oil box I ever made. A dear mate of mine who's getting on a bit like me, lives in Dublin, he owns it. I gave it to him. I slipped up. I would love to, I've borrowed it a few times to show people. It was the wood that made it so stunning. I once filled in all this grain with gold leaf and it looked awful, so I picked it all out again. Oh, and notice the big end blocks so that you can use the full length of the stone. This was a black Arkansas. In fact, it's got the name on there, I've just noticed. Very rare stone. Just flick through. These are made out of tenon saws, a lot of these. Oh, one of my favourite pictures of all time. I love that picture. I don't know why I love it, but I did. And I still do. That tenon saw was out of John Buxton, quite a rare tenon saw, but it was all ruined. And this was one of the very first planes I made out of a tenon saw. Molson Brothers. Oh, that shows Cupid bow dovetails on a 36-inch jointer I did. And this is a copy of a Norris. I believe there's only one of these known, Norris, and I copied it. And it's the most peculiar design when you saw it in the flesh. That's when I aged, just to see how I could age it. Oh, this is, Sarah made this jumper for me. I've still got it. I was a lot younger then, but I noticed this morning the guttering is still in place many, many years ago. Again, these are copies of Matheson. So are these. In fact, that's about full size. Beautiful coloured rosewood. I had a whole plank of it, about 6 foot by 8 by 2, and it was red. I once made a lowboy and I had to make the inlay I was going to use on it. I copied one I saw in an antique shop, and that's a bit of the inlay that I manufactured by hand, sort of thing. That was a tricky job. I love the colour of some of these timbers. Skew mouths. I made quite a lot of skew mouths at one time. Here's another one. This one's got a turned up front. I copied a book, mitre plane. Cupid bow dovetails. The first wooden mitre plane I ever made, I believe it was sycamore or maple and boxwood. I noticed them did the eyes completely wrong. They're like out of a jointer. Another one with a turned up front, no, 2 in fact. Non-parial little elephants on those. Non-parial is a trademark of one of the saw makers. Oh, I made 9 of these. There were 4 inches and every one had a different wedge. The one on the left are obviously coloured with nitric acid. Cutaway backs. Somebody in Germany wanted a low angle plane. I eventually made, he wanted a conventional English mitre plane but a very low angle. I told him I'd have to cut the heel away, and I did, and I made a few of those. My boot somewhere, pair left and right, bronze and steel dovetailed. Oh no, they're all bronze. I did some in bronze and steel. Cupid bow dovetails again. I don't know who that fella is. Ugly looking brute. That was a gentleman that popped in my house. He was just on his way back to Australia. Mike Cook, I think his name was. Obviously a collector. Oh, they were 7 out of 15 mint Norrises I once found. This is a customer that I cut away the heel of a plane for. That's his son. He was very young then. I've never met him, but we've spoken a few times. He makes these magnificent claricords, or I think they are. And this was a photo of somebody sent me in Jersey. Just part of his collection. Very interesting looking early Bailey playing there. And that's about it.